Welcome everyone to another Shades of Chaos unboxing. This time around, as you probably guessed, it's Warcry's The Unmade. So, ironically, The Unmade is still unmade, and no pun intended, and I've had it since they were released, and it's still got the shiny little wrapper on. So, we'll rip this off, and then we'll get to the unboxing. So, The Unmade. Well, The Unmade, they're pretty sick individuals. You know, you've seen some Chaos cults and things like that have had the flesh of the dead on their belts and things like this, you know, before in the past. You know, it's the norm, you know, especially in games like 40k, it's pretty grim-dark. But in AOS, generally isn't like that. Apart from in Warcry, there's a few bands that are quite dark. And these guys are no exception. So, flailed skin on belts, yeah, that's pretty dark. It's pretty grim dark, you know, like in 40k. Until you realise the skin that's flailed is mostly from themselves. So these guys like to peel the skin off their faces and wear them around the belt and things like that. To show they're the loyal servants, obviously, as you do. So, you know these guys are a member of the club, you know, when they're missing their own faces. So, yeah, they're pretty sick individuals. So what have we got on the back of the box? So on the back of the box, we have these guys. So the blissful one, not looking so blissful. It looks like it's cut its own hands off and now has hooks for hands. I'm not entirely sure how practical that is in life, but still. And these guys are probably just as bad, because cutting their hands off and having hooks for hands, things like that. It's, yeah, it's pretty messed up. I was initially thinking, and look at the detail on that guy there, initially painting these guys up as cultists for my World Eaters. And I still may do that, but I really do like Warcry at the moment. It's a good gateway into AOS, and I've got a lot of AOS, but I don't play the game enough, so Warcry is fantastic. And that's pretty messed up. That is pretty messed up. So, let's crack open the box. It says we have 5 cards in this box for the abilities, and they're all different languages. So, straight off the bat, I'll be putting those in the bin, sadly. I know it's great artwork and everything, but even though I'm learning Spanish at the moment, I'm not that fluent. My main language is English, so I will be chucking majority of the ability cards away. So, assuming that's for the leader, the blissful one apparently. I'll get into the cards in a minute. So, in the destructions, we have quite a few variants. There's quite a few models in this kit. Now, we've done unboxing for the card packs and stuff before, which we'll get into in a second. So, you get 9 miniatures in this kit, which is pretty cool. And they're not bad prices, really. They're about 25 quid, something like that, for, you know, new ones. But a lot of us in the hobby get a little bit of discount, or we surf the net. Surf the net? Does anyone even say that anymore? Until we get something a little bit cheaper. But it's always nice, especially in these difficult times, to support your local hobby store. So why not pick up some Warcry? Super fast and easy games to play. And we're doing a few battle reports on it at the moment. Mainly because we just enjoy playing it, so why not record it at the same time? But that guy looks pretty cool. So think back to metal models back in the day. How hard would it be to make poses like that? You know, the model will be sagging all the time. But these guys, and there's the guy peeling his own face off, are pretty interesting. I have no idea what they're going to be like on the table. I generally pick armies, I just think they look cool. Look at the flail on that. Looks like it's some kind of mechanical spine. It's pretty messed up. So yeah, I generally pick armies that I like the look of the most. And I realise they fall into my playstyle normally because they're close combat based. And then I whinge the fact that I have 0 range. And that goes for AOS, 40k, pretty much every army I ever collect. I always like the close combat guys, and then get shot off the table. But I have a great time doing it. So that's a nice base piece there. That's pretty cool to put in the base. Part of the old Chaos 8-point star. Lots of spiky stuff on these guys. So I couldn't really tell what aspect of Chaos these guys worship. Possibly Slash, because there's lots of pain and pleasure things going on here. But yeah, there's like a skin there. The skin of someone's hand is pretty brutal. So I'm going to paint these guys quite necrotic looking, like dead looking flesh, maybe a hint of green or possibly purple in it. Not that they're undead, I just think that would look pretty cool. So, nice kind of fork or prong. Yeah, these guys are going to be pretty fun to paint, I think. Screaming face. There's a jewel. You can see that, like the back of the model, bits of skin stitched together to make some kind of cloak, loincloth thing. Yeah, these guys are not the prettiest. You got to be pretty devoted to be part of their gang. Nice machete there. You can see the little notches taken out of the machete. It's a fair bit of detail. So good old Games Workshop for the lovely models. So now we'll get into the cards. I'll get rid of this off camera because you don't want to hear for the next 30 seconds. Okay, so we have the Blissful one, the Joyous one, Wakened one with Flail. They've got nice names, haven't they? So they sound really happy. You know, they're probably happy in what they do, but they don't look happy from the outside in, do they really? Ascended ones, yeah, just cut your face off, why not, sure. But yeah, these guys are going to be pretty fun to paint. And you can see on the box art that the skin's got like a purplish, kind of undeadish hue to it. And I think that's the kind of thing I'm going to aim for. But yeah, I mean, they're not exactly bright colours, these guys. But I think I might pick a garish colour, see if I can make it pop a bit. Right, so their abilities. So these are different for every faction, every clan, every warband. And then you have your universal abilities as well. So if you've never played Warcry before, at the beginning of each round you roll your 6 dice, and if you get any doubles or triples or quads, put them to one side and you can do special abilities. So you can use this card or the universal abilities card, which everybody, funny enough, can use. So like you could have a double for onslaught, adding an extra dice to an attack, a double for an extra 1 inch movement. Sometimes that extra inch really does help in the movement. So for these guys we have a double of Nightmarish Visage. It sounds a bit classier, a Visage. Pick an enemy fighter within a number of inches of this fighter equal to the value of this ability. So for example, if you rolled double 6s, it would be 6, double 4 would be 4, and so on. You get the idea. So, pick an enemy within a number of inches of this fighter equal to the value of this ability and roll a dice. On a 3 up into the end of the battle round, that fighter cannot make move actions or disengage actions. I think that's pretty cool because you can just root someone into a spot if you really want to stop them from getting an objective, because you never know what you're going to get in Warcry. You could have an objective-based game, movement-based game, a killing game. So you can just take somebody out of the equation. It's pretty nice. I like that. It's not something I've had before in any of the gangs I'm currently using. So I do have Slaughter Priest, which has quite a nice ability. So it's not in the main card pack for the Blades of Corn, but it is in the Chaos book. And he's pretty cool. He can control movement by dragging people. So this is equally as cool. You can control movement by stopping people. That's really nice. Barbed Strike for another double. So these symbols mean anybody in this faction, in the Unmade can perform it if you have one of these symbols on top of only the person with that symbol, or only the person with that symbol, and that's probably the leader symbol, can perform those specific actions. So anybody can do these three, for example. Barb Strike. Into the end of this fighter's activation, if any attack actions made by this fighter score any hits or crits, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic to a minimum of 1 of the target fighter until the end of the battle round. That's pretty cool. So basically you're wounding somebody, so the next attack against them is going to be slightly easier, in theory. Which is pretty cool. I like that. So you might want to get that in one of the first attacks made by one of your guys, and then later on the rest of the gang can get in there and make it a little bit easier for them to hit. So in this game, in Warcry, all you gotta do is hit somebody. There's no wound roll, there's no armor save. It's literally one dice throw, which is wicked. Because in AOS or 40k, you got to hit somebody, then roll another lot of dice to wound somebody, then they can roll another lot of dice for a save. So it really does speed up the game. It really does. So yeah, I'll leave this on the screen here, so you guys can pause it and have a look at your own leisure. But the quad is normally the best abilities because it's hardest to achieve. You can't really rely on getting the quad, but if you do, Gift of Agony. This fighter makes a bonus attack action, which is always nice. Add 1 to the strength and attack characteristics of that attack if this fighter has taken any damage associated to them. Which is pretty cool. So they definitely like a bit of pain. So yeah, like I said, possibly Slaanesh. It's really good because getting an extra attack is always nice. Plus 1 to the strength, so probably going to be easier to hit somebody. And an extra attack, which is great because the extra attack you're spending a double for anyway for onslaught. So this should be pretty interesting to see on the table. But let's have a look at the main cards. So obviously for your wounds, allocation if you want to play it that way. And the leader. It's pretty grim. 20 wounds. It's probably about right for 220 points. Now a very good movement of 8, considering they don't fly. I'm not sure spring legs, it's going to be the best mode of transport. But you see Olympic runners using them, so why not? Toughness 4. Okay, so that's toughness, if you haven't guessed. That's the range of the weapon, so only range 1. 5 attacks, which is always nice. Strength 4. 2 wounds, unless they do a crit, and then they cause 6 wounds. So, it's pretty nice. It's not crazy broken or anything. I've seen better. I have seen worse. Okay, so one of the elites here. 145 points. Movement 5 is still very good. They're very nimble. That's why I like the Corvus Cabal. Yes, they might be a little bit weak, but they are pretty fast. So the elites you'll find they're generally toughness 4 anyway, generally, unless they're like iron golems or something. And then the speed would be lower anyway. So generally the lower the toughness I find, the higher the toughness, the lower the speed. So range 1 again, 4 attacks, not to be sniffed at, strength 4, 2 damage, or 4 damage. Pretty cool looking model as well. So a guy with a spear, so 2 inches. It is two-handed, but he only gets 2 attacks at strength 3. I'm quite surprised being two-handed, but they aren't crazy strong guys. They are, pretty skinny. They're not in heavy armor or anything like that. So 60 points is cheap in this game, so you can probably get a few of those guys in. Guy with a whip, or chain barb thing. So you could do either a 3-inch range attack, 3 attacks, strength 3, or you could do the 1-inch, strength 3, 3 attacks. See, I'm not sure why we'd use the knife. Yeah, you could crit and do 3 damage rather than 2 damage, but 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to use the range 3. I would anyway. But yeah, if you want to hopefully fish for some 6s, some crits, and do an extra damage, maybe go for that. But an extra 3 inches is nice for a ranged attack, because movement 4, If you move up 4, you can still hit somebody within 3 inches. It's always good. So effectively gives you a bit more speed if you look at it that way. And still very good for 60 points. But yes, toughness 3, they're probably going to be taken out pretty easy. 125 points, so a bit of an elite. And range 1, 4 attacks, so quite a few attacks. 10 wounds, speed 4, toughness 4, strength 4. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the guys aren't massively broken. I think the guy with the whip is pretty good for 60 points because you're getting a bit more range. But they're not doing massive amounts of damage, especially at strength 3. So if you're going against elites, someone who's slightly better than a grunt, you know, you'll be wounding on 5s. If you're going against like Stormcast and things like that, they're generally toughness 5 in a way. You might get toughness 6, not Iron Warriors, do apologise. Chaos Warriors with shields, things like that. But yeah, they're not going to hit like a truck. But a few of the abilities are really nice. But I purely picked them up because I think the models look cool. I mean, that whip looks pretty badass. So is the spear. Lots and lots and lots of spikes. So you're going to have to put them in a decent case. And little fiddly bits like that, they're going to break off else. You can't just chuck them in a plastic bucket or something. You're going to have to put them in a decent foam. But I do like the fact they get little bits of terrain on the bases as well you can stick on. And that thing just looks crazy. It's obviously got no feet and no hands, and it's just replaced it with weapons. It looks like the bad guy from Golden Circle, Kingsman. But yeah. Not bad, not bad. It's a pretty well-rounded army. Like I said, you can get 9 models in this list. I have played fairly elite before. If you play like Stormcast, you might get 4 or 5 models. And I do find 9 times out of 10, it's the number of models in this game. I really should stop going for the kills and go for the objectives. Speed 8 is pretty good. Do like Speed 8. Speed 5 is nice as well. So getting to those objectives are fairly key. Because you never know what kind of mission you're going to get with Warcry. So, I will paint these guys up at some stage. I will obviously take a lot of care clipping these guys off the sprue, because as you can imagine, you know, bits may break off if you're not careful. So, use a sharp knife, use a cutting mat, and use side cutters, decent hobby side cutters. So things like that you do not want to break off. But thankfully, doesn't look like there's many mold lines, and the kits are really nice for Warcry in specific. You know, like if you have models in AOS that you're going to use in Warcry, they're great as well. But like the Corvus Cabal, like fiddly, skinny little models like that specifically was made for Warcry initially. You know, you would never make them in metal. They are such great models, and I do thoroughly recommend plastic glue when assembling them, because they're so fiddling. You don't want bits to break off using regular old super glue. Okay, you've heard me rant enough. Please hit that like button if you haven't done already, and if Warcry is definitely your thing, please leave a comment below, and hopefully you guys can check out some of our Warcry battle report. Thank you for watching. Be safe, everyone.